Welcome aboard for another video.
Thanks, Conductor Keith. Before I get to it, I just want to point out my friend Craig's website, Brick Army Canada, brickarmy.ca. Why don't you head on over there and see what kind of brickish things he has? Well, Terry, you may ask, what is the purpose of today's video? It's these Jeeps, more specifically this one, which is brand new. I was going to do a review of just this model kit by COBI, but then I discovered something interesting when I took out my scale ruler. I already had these two Jeeps, which I've talked about in previous videos. These are World War II Jeeps, and this is a Vietnam War era Jeep. I do use COBI kits around my large-scale model railroad. As you can see with this World War II Soviet gun, and the sandbags that came with the various kits, including some sandbags that came with the gun. Now, I've seen people take COBI kits like these and weather them just like fine scale model kits. And they actually look spectacular. I'm tempted. This is COBI barbed wire pieces, which I set right down in the scenery cement. So they're in there solid. I also weathered them, as you can see. They look pretty good. There's some other COBI things. So why don't we get to it? Take these Jeeps out to the kitchen table, compare them, get out my scale ruler and measure them, and I'll show you the one modification that I do. Before I go on any further, I'm going to show you one of the COBI barbed wire pieces. You know, typical plastic, not scale. But you can see on my large scale model railroad that blending it in with some scenery and whatnot made it look nice. So this video was inspired by this vehicle. Okay, so why don't I talk about it a little bit. Came with your typical COBI manual, of course, which says on the front, everything's pad printed. The little radio detail you see right there. Other details like the tail lights, nice pad printing, no stickers, really nice. Rubber tires, you know, just your typical Jeep. This opens, so you can see the engine in there. Good for posing in scenes. This goes down. One thing I don't like is the floppiness of the steering wheel there. I find that a bit too floppy. It's got brake studs in it. That's not, you know, that's unavoidable. You could get tiles. You can order tiles that are flat like this one, you know, and you can actually cover these up if you wanted to. No problem at all. Got your little antenna whip right there, like the gas can, jerry can. Also, apparently these are glow in the dark. Although that doesn't really mean much to me, I don't really care. Anyway, the manual is your typical COBI manual. It's put together well, you know, easy to follow instructions. There's zero problems in building this. The box, of course, it came in was nice, as is typical. The M151A1 Mutt hit service, I think, in 1965. This says in production 1964 to 2000. Maybe it was first used in 1965, I don't know. According to Wikipedia, it was first produced in the late 1950s, but it was put into service in the, quote, early 1960s. So the box doesn't seem to be quite correct, and I'm certainly not correct. So let's just say early 1960s. Point is, it's past my date for my model railroad, but I don't really care. In setting up to make a video specifically about this model, I dragged out my other Jeeps from COBI and decided, because, you know, COBI kits like this World War I tank, lately they've been saying the scale. So this tank, 1/35. That's fine. The Jeeps don't say anything. Now the Jeep is a small vehicle in real life. I've had occasion to be in a World War II Jeep. They're not very big. And when I put these on my model railroad, I thought, geez, these seem right. The tanks are a bit small, but these seem right. So out comes the trusty scale ruler. I love you too. Now I have a 1/24 scale ruler somewhere. I don't know where it is at the moment. But this one has N scale and has HO scale and S. But it has O, which is 1/48. Simple matter of taking 1/48 and dividing it by 2 to make 1/24. So we can use this as a scale ruler. So I looked up the dimension of these Jeeps on Wikipedia. Then I got out my scale ruler and I measured them. The length and width is literally within inches of fine scale for 1/24. They're so virtually close. It was so difficult to see if it's an inch or two off. So I can tell you that these COBI Jeeps are 1 to 24, or in another way of putting it, these are G scale. Why don't we start with the Willys Jeep, the original Jeep, the iconic grille shape right there, these straight fender pieces right here, you know, the rounded bumper parts. Generally this, you know, for a brick model, looks really good as a Jeep. And when you sit it in the background around some scenery, it actually blends in quite nicely. Now, this is the Ford version. So in World War II, Ford was contracted as well to build some. You can tell the difference, and COBI's captured them very well by Ford's version having this shape of a grille here. Also, it protects the headlights a little bit. See that? The Ford version has a rounded fender right here. It's a little more rounded right there. And they've captured the fact that the Ford version, this one says Ford right there, has a slightly different bumper. Fast forward, these things are getting a little long in the tooth. And they've had experience with them, how to improve them. You've got the Mutt, similar, except that if you look here, see how the hinge, this long hinge piece, puts the window all the way over there? Well, this follows what the Mutt did, and it's a simple hinge. It also allowed the Mutt to have a slightly wider windscreen. The grille is different. The body has this extra piece here that you don't see there. It's a strengthening piece. This also put a little more frame outside, giving a little tiny bit more room inside. Aside from that, the dimensions are pretty much the same. It's the natural progression of this Jeep to this Jeep, right? So they look good together still. So as a brick model, I am pleased with the look of the Mutt, just as I was pleased with the look of the Willys and the Ford World War II Jeeps. Now, I don't use the minifigures because he is clearly not G scale. He is clearly not 1 to 24. In fact, when I hold my scale ruler, the O gauge part to him, put it at 0, he's closer to O gauge. In fact, I have some videos on my channel now where I've got an old 1950s Lionel train set running around with a couple of COBI minifigures sitting there, because they are closer, much closer to 1 to 48 scale. In fact, they fit right in with the toy train, which is not a fine scale toy train. Having said all that, the rifle's nice, and the pad printing on this guy is really, really good. And he's very posable, you know, all the typical stuff, right? So it's like, it's a great little minifigure. And now on to my one modification. You know, no glass. Looks kind of, makes it toyish. Now, this one is still kind of toyish, but look at the difference with the window glass in it. I use this Tester's non-toxic cement for plastics. It won't melt the plastic, it won't wreck the plastic. Just a little dab on the corners and put it on with the toothpick, and voila, you've got instant window glass that looks really good, okay? It really elevates the model quite a bit. I tend to keep these, you know, box pieces, right? A clear cellophane piece on the front, because this is what I'm going to cut the windshield out of. So just really carefully put a couple little dibble dabs of glue, make it nice and simple. We don't want too much. That's almost too much there. That's almost too much there. Now if I put it on right now, bunk-a-dunk-a-dunk, like that, and I put it down like that, just like that, and like that. There. I don't know if you can see that adequately well, but it really does make a difference in how it looks. And I think it's time to bring them to the layout. I've shown in previous video how I've made these, but just as a reminder, this is that flexible stuff you can get. I got it at a craft store. It's just, you know, cord that's flexible. And these are little bits of small chain that I've just used pliers for and just rebent to make hooks. Very simple. Did all these in like 40 minutes. All right, so the Jeeps are up on the loading ramp, ready to be loaded onto a flat guard, to be taken off, to be shipped to the front. Okay, you can see they're all nice and secure on there. The lines are nice and tight. Everything's secure. They would have been shipped on flat cars with the windscreens facing down and the mirrors turned in. And I like the fact that I can do that. Also, the mounted machine guns would not have been on there. They would have been crated separately. So we'll just assume they're in the boxcar. If you're new to my channel, I'm running this off live overhead wire. I really do feel like these Jeeps make a nice convincing load. The Friar's here, of course, at his favorite train watching location. I see that some kind people gave him a chair to sit on for when he's feeling weary. Now he hopes that you hit the like button, press the like button, because it helps YouTube then promote the video to more people. Now, Marge, it's a well-established fact that you really like the tanks because you like tracked vehicles. Oh, yes, Henry, that's absolutely true, but the Jeeps are nice too. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video.